we're here.
And back.
I feel like we did say cold opens, but I'm like, should we have a hard open? All right, we got a lot of topics. I actually don't have them directly in front of me, but how do you feel about, how was your day, first of all?
Day's been busy.
Yeah?
It's been a busy one. I could do like 10 other things right now, obviously needing to sit down and have this conversation, but it's a busy one. It's Monday right back from
Easter
weekend. Yeah, I mean, I worked for maybe like a third of Friday. Couldn't fully take it off, but also needed to take most of it off to be with family. So
yeah,
I'm feeling it today. And we're on a production tomorrow and Friday.
And I pulled you aside to do 2 hour-and-a-half long podcasts. Maybe not an hour and a half.
Yeah.
All right, first topics. I'm good, by the way, too. Thanks for asking.
Oh, yeah.
First topic. Is it better to work personally with somebody or just keep it strictly business?
First of all, this was not the topic that you had.
Read it how it's written. Do them a favor. I have something different in front of me.
Helping people personally, it will benefit their business as well as yours. People over business.
I kind of said that in a different way.
I'm pretty sure what you just said. We can roll back the tape if we. But your question was different than what was that.
All right. Well, what do you think?
Working with people personally rather than business.
Do you think there should be like a human-centric approach, or do you think it should be straight business? This is what we're getting down to.
No, there should be a human-centric approach. I think this all goes back to, AI, especially nowadays. I think AI is being overblown a little bit with in the world of business.
Sure, we'll argue about that later.
Oh yeah, all day, every day.
I think even in one of my topic points was like, we're gonna argue.
Yeah, love it. No, I did not see that. I did not see that, but I'm not surprised. I'm starting to get the feeling that you send me the podcast talking points in like a Kevin version, and the real version is what you keep.
Yeah,
so,
I have a different version in front of me right
now. I completely believe that. I have not a shadow of a doubt. Do I believe that you do not tell me what you actually want to talk about, and you just throw things on me. So yeah. I'm here for it.
Keeps it more interesting.
It's interesting. No, you have to have a human component to business. Automating everything, I think, can get dangerous. I think there's a line. I think having too much AI-generated or chat-generated text or responses is dangerous. I think phone calls and Zoom meetings will continue to happen for the foreseeable future. The more human interaction you can have, the better your business will grow, and the better your business will go. You'll be able to develop those relationships the more often that you can show the human side of yourself.
So I had heard this guy talking, and he was saying that you should never go into a meeting without an ulterior motive. Okay. And I was like, okay, that sounds bad. And then he starts breaking it down. He's like, if you go to a meeting and there's no motive, then you shouldn't have ever been in the meeting.
Correct.
So what does ulterior motive mean? This is where I'm stuck on, right? If you're taking a meeting with someone to do business, to do a job, that's what you're there for, correct? What's your next motivation between being in that meeting? Do you think past the first one of just signing a job, or is there something a layer past that?
I'm always, every meeting I'm in, I'm always thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead.
And go ahead.
Which helps me solidify the first motive of being in that meeting.
Okay.
So I am not in that meeting solely for signing that one job. That is primary objective number 1. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, it is the primary motive for being in that meeting, is signing that job.
So but transactional. Okay.
But I am not in that meeting solely for making that transaction.
Okay. What's the other thing?
Long-term relationships and growing the network beyond this one person, this one entity, person, producer, company, whatever you want to use, right? Whatever term you want to use. Sign that one job, execute on it, but by doing so, can you get the next job? Can you get the third job with that same entity? But beyond that, tertiary, will that person recommend you to their colleague, their peer, their neighbor? More so, if that person leaves that company, can you follow them to the next company?
Yeah.
While still keeping a hold of the company that they used to be at. So I'm always in meetings for those three reasons. You have your primary objective. Secondary is to already succeed on the first to then get the second and third job with them. Tertiary is a little bit of a hybrid of where will it lead you next. And that could be because that person leaves and brings you to a new company, or it could be that they recommend you to another company or an entity.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been stuck on, like, I was talking to someone today and I was telling them how a part of me thinks packaging is super important. Like how you present yourself to people in a meeting or in person, X, Y, and Z. But then I was considering, as I was saying this to the guy, where does it go further than that? So, like, when does authenticity come in? Because are you packaging yourself in a way that's not authentic? Can you still, like, give empathy towards a person and, like, just be a human with them while packaging yourself out to be, like, proper and someone that they would maybe want to do business with? Because the thing that people hear a lot is, like, you do business with people who look like you. So it's like you go into a place where everyone's dressed in suits and you go in shorts and a khaki or whatever, Hawaiian shirt. People in suits aren't going to want to do business with you because they're like, you don't look like us, man. You're not dressed up. You don't look like money. But then when does authenticity come in and how do you navigate that?
Yep.
So a big thing that I've been talking about just amongst friends and stuff like that is, like, how to balance the line of we're friends, but we're friends that do business, not friends that just do things. So things come to mind, like people and circumstances come to mind where it's like, if you get too friendly, then they might not want to pay you anymore. Because like, dude, we're buds. We're cool. And then there's the other perspective where we're really friendly and I might not necessarily work with you, but I'm going to refer you out to people. How do you feel like you can balance that line properly? That's tough.
That's a struggle.
Right?
That is a struggle. Like, no lie, that's a tough one.
Because people innately want to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like, people come in here and as soon as they're done, all I'm thinking about is like, what can I do for them now? What can I, not really trying to get anything in return, but like, can I connect you with somebody? We were at the candle pour the other day and I was talking to the guy and I'm like, can I connect you with Greg Bernstein, who was just on our podcast, who like does scent marketing and like can manufacture your goods for you at maybe a lower cost? Does nothing for me. I was like, can we set that up?
Yeah, at least a conversation. You never know. Maybe there's nothing there, but maybe there's amazing opportunity for both parties.
Yeah. And then if that happens, then is the candle pour, damn, they really hooked us up. Hey, espresso pour. You should go work with them. Yep. They might never do business with us, but there's like empathy there. They're like, they help me. Let me help them. Do you think about that in meetings? I think it's a little bit of a downfall for me. So that's why I want to know what your perspective is.
I don't overly think about that in meetings, to be completely transparent. Like I said, I have my 3 reasons for being in a meeting that I just kind of look at 1, 2, 3. So like I said, I have my 3 reasons for being in a meeting.
Yeah.
It all starts with the primary reason that if the other 2 secondary and tertiary reasons never come to fruition, it is what it is. No problem. Having that personal element is critical, but it can be problematic in the future and has been. I mean, I've gotten very friendly with clients and When all of a sudden budgets come into play, they try to say, "Oh, can you do this for X dollar?" And it might, I mean,
hookup.
and it could, yeah, it's a hookup, and it, you know, it could
We
be
all do it. Yeah.
and it could be something minimal, like 5-10%, maybe 15. Fine, we can make something work. My biggest thing is if we're going to cut price, you have to lose something in the process. It doesn't necessarily have to be same dollar value, right? But let's say you're asking for $1,000 off. Well, what can we lose that's close to that? Can we lose this line item that's $700? Cool. I will then take the $300 hit to make the minus 1,000 work.
Sure.
But I can't just give $1,000 discount for no reason.
Yeah.
And that, for the most part, works really well. But there have been times that individuals have asked, like, well, I need that. Well, then pay the full price.
Yeah, I know.
Or what else can we lose?
I was just I was breaking this down to someone the other day, and I was saying, like, if I were to quote you for all these things that you want and give you line items of everything it is, and then you come in at, let's just say, a third of the price off, there's no chance you can get everything.
No.
Like, not a shot. No way.
Yep.
And I'm like, what do you mean? Why not? Like, what does it cost you to do it? And I was like, let's just take out the money and say time and energy. So I have to do everything for you, the same amount of time and energy, but you're not going to bring the same amount of money.
Yep.
So no, if your money pays for my energy, right?
Yep.
You're buying my time in that sense.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, I kind of get it and this and that. I'm like, well, look at it this way. If you want these a third off and it's this much, let me show you the line items. And you can pick all the cheapest things that don't really matter as much for you. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess you could still get the same benefit from it. I'm like, yeah, dude. It doesn't have to be like, it's not going to kill your project. It's still going to work out. And explaining that kind of set a level of expectations.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, is set an expectation. Now, do people want what they pay for, or do they just want to meet their budget?
Yeah.
There's two different.
Oh, okay. Tell me more. Meet their budget.
So let's talk in terms of a $10,000 project. Okay.
Okay.
Their budget is $10,000. You quote them $12,000. Yep. Whether you do or do not know that their budget's $10,000 is irrelevant. It could help your argument, but whatever. We'll just say you just don't know. Let's use that for the example. $10,000 budget. You ended up quoting them 12. Are they willing to pay the $12,000 and get the $12,000 worth of value, i.e., greater return? Or do they need to cut $2,000 to meet the $10,000 budget? Does the budget really matter? And what I've come to realize from a lot of clients is the money tends to dictate what ends up happening. It's kind of an obvious statement. Don't get me wrong. Money makes the world go round. But man, when the clients that exceed their budget come around, wonderful to work with.
Yeah.
Because just that $2,000 increase could make the product 2 times better. Maybe that's the difference between having 5 people on set or 7. And those extra 2 people, that extra 2 labor positions could make things go exponentially better. We could have a smoother day. We could get more shots. We could be able to capture this really complicated scene, right?
You explain that to them?
Yeah.
In a call?
Yeah.
Because that would lean toward like trust building, which is taking out like that. It's being more
transparent,
human-centric, right? Transparent. So you do explain that to them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I would think that expectations are that I'm just going to give you more money and you're going to pocket that money versus you reset the expectation.
A portion of that, it comes to the company. It has to. I mean, it's more.
But it's not
responsibility.
It's not like you're getting 10,000 value. You're going to pay 12. We're just going to take that 2 and
Correct.
put it in the business. You're going to
Correct.
take that 2 and say, I can give you more value now because
Yes.
you came up and met this. They must love that.
I think so.
Yeah, I would love that.
No, they do. I think more times than not, they're remarkably receptive to it. It also allows the conversation to take a very positive turn because, again, maybe the budget is just dead freaking set. Like, we have to make this work. So because I explained that what they're asking for is 12,000 with us, if they want to do business with us, like, we still can make the 10 work, but what are we losing? What are we removing? Are we removing a 4th deliverable on the post side? Are we removing one scene? Traditionally, you don't have to lose much to make the 12 to 10 work, but you do need to lose something.
And I like that it's lose, and because you started to say compromise, but it's not a compromise, because if you just take it off, it's not like a compromise would be we're going to still do everything and we're going to compromise the value of it or like how it's going to turn out, and the quality. So it's not a compromise anymore. You changing that to lose it, it's just like, again, resetting expectations.
Now, there might be a compromise in the sense that, like, it maybe they're wanting to lose the 4th deliverable on this list, and maybe that deliverable equates to 1,500. Now we're at 10.5, and they're holding their feet that they have 10 to spend and not a penny more. You know, coming from the top brass, 10 is the number, point blank, end of discussion. Well, they lost 1,500, but we're still 500 over. At that point, maybe we, maybe we had a 3rd pre-pro meeting on the or 4th pre-pro meeting on the books. We removed the 4th pre-pro meeting. We're down to 3 and in just emails, and that's whatever, $300. Now we're 200 over. I'll just eat the 200. That's where the compromise comes in. Or we lost 1,500. We're 500 over.
But no matter what, it's more compromise on making sure that they still get what they need.
Correct.
And that they're going to be
But there has to
satisfied.
be some
It's
sort
you
of
compromising.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of loss, though. I'm not willing to go from 12 to 10 but still give them 12 value.
Right.
Like, that's just not going to work. We have to lose something.
Yeah.
And then maybe I still have to compromise and lose $300, $400, $500, but on a $10,000 job, the profit margin's there. We'll make it work. No big deal. We're still making our money. We're still, feeding our families, and we're able to move forward.
Yeah.
But I can't take a $2,000 loss.
Sure.
Like, that's also just that's not a compromise. That's just me losing completely. The compromise is we need to lose at least some sort of line item that gets us as close as possible to what you need to lose to make the numbers work. But once you start talking to clients, there's a good amount of times where they still want what they have to lose, but maybe they just can't spend the 12. But can they get it for 11.5, and we lose the example was they lose the 4th deliverable. Maybe now they lose the 5th deliverable. That was just like this tiny little add-on that they thought they needed or wanted, and now they're just like, nah. We'll lose that $500 thing. No big deal. Don't care. And now we don't care. And now we're at 11.5. But previously they were set on 10. They were set on 10. They were set on 10. But now suddenly the contract is being written up for 11.5. They opened up their books. Maybe they have to go back to the CFO. They do have to go maybe to, unless you're talking to the owner of the company, someone's reporting to somebody, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So a lot of times they'll go back and they'll come back in an email the next day and say, hey, we really can't make 12 work, but we can make 11.5 work. The very, very, very bottom line item, remove that. Cool. There's our $500 savings. Now we're at 11.5. They get what they wanted. We just signed an 11.5 deal, even though we proposed a 12, and we're moving forward.
Yeah.
But it's all about having that communication. and they have to feel that you're being trustworthy with their money.
Yeah.
If they feel that we're just quoting 12 to quote 12, they're not going to compromise with you. They're not going to have that discussion. If they feel that you're not being trustworthy with their money, at the end of the day, someone's flipping the bill. Mm-hmm. And if they feel like you're quoting them 12, but they're only going to get a product that's worth 5,
yeah,
they're not signing with you. There's all the compromise in the world can go out the window because they don't trust you with their money. They have to trust you.
Can you tell me about a time where you something a little more specific, not like inside baseball, which I feel like we're kind of heading that direction, but something broad, but a time that you set expectations for somebody and then how they expressed that was so important for them. Is there something that comes to mind? Or is there a time where you personally went out of your way to help someone with their business and then it turned into a fruitful business venture for you?
Man, I
came to do a podcast and I get interviewed.
Yeah, here we are. What was your first question? Because it was two part. It was a one or the other. What was the first one?
Time that you set expectations with somebody, and then they came back and said, "Oh, that you setting expectations totally helped. We completely understand. We're gonna move forward because you set the expectations."
Okay, I have that one right off the. The second one I definitely can have something and just need a minute to go back in the Rolodex. But the first one, Aviv Clinics.
Okay.
So Aviv Clinics is a medical provider in the villages, and they do a lot of high-end brain and oxygen therapy. Very cool. Yeah, very cool place. I mean, that place was just drop dead gorgeous. Our team could not be happier shooting in that facility just because of how unique and clean and crisp that the location was.
It was a vibe.
Yes, it was. They came to us initially with a 2-day ask. Oh, we want to shoot all of this on Saturday. We want to shoot all of this on Sunday. Has to be Saturday or Sunday. It's when the clinic is closed. They were not willing to close their clinic Monday through Friday. So it had to be the weekend, which poses its own set of problems, right? Not only with their personnel that they're asking to come in Saturday and Sunday, but then asking people to work on a Saturday or Sunday, right? We're all human. We want our days off. We deserve our time off. Families, not families, doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. If you don't expect to work Saturday or Sunday, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You don't have to, right? My Saturdays look very different than your Saturdays, but both Saturdays are equally valuable. Mm-hmm. So that was already a complexity number one. Complexity number two was their budget did not meet a 2-day production ask. They had a lot of high-level asks, a lot of necessities with this, both on the production side and on the post-production side. Send proposal. The proposal numbers did not align with their budget. Obviously, found that out after the fact. Thankfully, they trusted us enough to disclose their budget after receiving the proposal, because I did not have any semblance of numbers on the discovery phone call and on the 2 or 3 emails back and forth before sending the proposal.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was like, oh, well, I got to send what I got to send. They clearly trusted us enough to then disclose their numbers. We were not close. Had another phone call with them, marketing team, talked through everything, and just point blank said, what you're asking for per the numbers you have to spend, this cannot be a 2-day production. It's just not going to work. They said, okay, I understand. All right, let us talk about it. They came back a few days later and said, send us a proposal for 1 day. Adjusted everything to be a 1-day production. Very loaded crew. If you recall, we had a lot of people there.
Oh, yeah. I was packed.
Packed
Full
day.
sets of equipment, people, everything.
Yeah, we had everybody we needed.
Talent, crew.
And it ended up being a 1-day production. We ended up signing the job, meeting their new budget, because what ended up happening was, instead of taking the number they had and dividing by 2, they came down so instead of coming down 50%, that's aka divide by 2, right? They came down 30%. So they gave us more money to make this work, get the deliverables that they wanted. And in the production world, we in Florida, we operate 10s, right? 10-hour days. We automatically went in on 12-hour days. But instead of just doing that, which a lot of companies in this area, which drive me personally nuts, when they operate on 12s but yet pay people for 10s.
Yeah.
We paid everybody on 12s. So we immediately turned that money around and automatically paid everybody on 12s. I negotiated really good rates for everybody. Everybody signed off. Everybody approved. We are in and out of that facility in 12 and a half hours, 12 hours of working. That 0.5 is lunch, as we know. So we were in and out in 12 and a half hours. It was a long day for everybody, but everybody was paid appropriately. Client was, by all accounts, just over the moon, happy, thrilled, got nothing but rave reviews after the fact.
Yeah.
But they trusted us. All this to come back to the initial phone call, the initial emails. The budget did not work at all, especially when they disclosed the number. I was like, oh, this is a yes, a problem. But they came down 30%, gave us some extra money to make a 1-day extended production work. They still got they only had to compromise on a few things, but again, they did have to compromise. Everything that we were going to do in 2 days, we had to do in 1, which technically wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
We had 12 hours of working time rather than 20 hours of working time. So they had to compromise, but they still walked away with a massive, massive archive of content.
Even what you're saying is ringing bells to me too, for the people, for the crew, because you turn around and you set expectations with the client, and then turn around and take that money and pay the crew properly. So they're happy, and there's long-term relationships going on because of that. Yep. So that next time you call, they can trust you as well. Yep. So it went both ways in that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of the normals on that crew.
The normies.
Yeah, but one that was a first-time worker for us was a gaffer in the area by the name of Chris. And he ended up working out really well with us. He had some photography background, and he ended up essentially just kind of on accident being attached to Brittany on the photography side and lighting a lot of her scenes. Andrew knew that Chris had a little bit of a photo background, which is why he assigned Chris to Brittany. The photography looked even better because of it. And Chris is now one of our normals that we call all the time, because he did so well on that job that he ended up working on the TPA job with us. And then just going down the line, just another job and another job and another job. And now he's a regular phone call for us.
Yeah. All right. So speaking about people in the workplace and how he was a photographer and then was gaffing for the photographer. This is something I've experienced, and I know you have a take on it. What do you think about imposter syndrome? Is it real or fake?
Yeah, so I asked you to put this back into the docket.
Yeah.
Because I just kind of shut it down the other day, just mainly because I think it was the day I had to pick up Connor early.
Yeah, I think you just had to go.
I had to go, so I shut it down, in a funny manner. But
can you define what imposter syndrome is? Because your definition is going to carry this conversation where it goes.
My definition of imposter syndrome is an individual who feels that they are in over their heads and does not belong in the industry or line of work that they're currently in.
Okay.
Whether that is position-based or company-based. So position-based, for example, someone gets hired as a director of marketing. First time being a director of marketing, they feel that they're in over their heads, or they don't belong, they don't feel adequately prepared, or are being looked down upon by their peers because they didn't earn it, or some some imaginary belief in their head, right?
Sure.
That's my definition of imposter syndrome.
Okay.
Same-ish?
Kind of, not really. Just because I look at imposter syndrome as something that comes and goes. Okay. So let's say you're not a first-time director of marketing, but you have 3 years of experience being a director of marketing. And then you go to a position for like 100-year-old company. And their director of marketing had 20 years experience, so that you're filling their shoes. So the imposter syndrome would then come from like, not that feeling you have no experience, but you didn't have it at the company you were at before because you were comfortable, good, everything was rocking. And then moving into a bigger one, which, yes, you said it's like more weight on your shoulders. I don't feel like it. And then going to that business, even going to the next one, you could get it again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it's 100% accurate.
So, yeah. Or my other example for me would be like someone who went to school for something versus someone who was self-taught probably gets imposter syndrome. Okay, so what are your perspectives on the psychology of it?
I understand why people have imposter syndrome at various points in their career or their life. How
does it impact their professional lives?
I think it puts an unnecessary weight on themselves. I think they are adding stress to their day-to-day life that could be alleviated. Need to push past that in a different way, right? Some people need to put the work in. Maybe they feel the need to work extra in order to break that mental barrier of theirs. Great. Maybe some people need to get
100%.
Maybe some people need to
really buckle down.
Buckle down. Let's go,
dude.
Some people might need to. Maybe some people need to work out and just sweat it out. Maybe some people need to
buy a bigger truck.
Buy a bigger truck. Yeah. But all this to say, I can hear it now. I can hear the internet hate already.
You get more hate than I do.
Oh, for sure. But I also just don't look at them. So maybe I
get more hate than I do.
Yeah, I believe it though. I've seen like 2 comments and I'm just like, oh, okay. And I just I walk away.
Have you ever had imposter syndrome?
I had imposter syndrome when we hired our second employee, which was Ryan, because I physically could see the gears turning very quickly over there. Okay. So it was always Ken and I for the longest time. Then Ryan. Shortly after hiring Ryan, I did feel like I had imposter syndrome because I suddenly felt like there was a development of a team, right? We were starting to have a team here. Okay. Team means more responsibilities, means you're managing additional personnel and you're growing, right? I did have it. There's no sugarcoating it. And honestly, I just kind of had to tell myself to suck it up and move on. And that's how I got through it.
Wow. Okay. Because that was going to be my question. It's like, what are strategies you'd recommend for overcoming that?
And look, the strategies to break past imposter syndrome is going to be dependent on what works for you. Do you need to just tell yourself to suck it up and move on? Do you need to buckle down and work harder? Do you need to go to the gym 3 days a week? Do you need to go to bed earlier so you get more rest?
I feel like I'm being attacked right now.
Whatever works for you, you just need to do it. Like, that's quite frankly what it is. For me, I just told myself to suck it up, Buttercup, and kick it to the curb and move on. I was wanting to be a business owner. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to have something that was greater than myself. And by bringing on more team members, that's what was going to get me there. And having these self-inflicted negative thoughts, imposter syndrome, wasn't going to get me there. So why have them? I'm not. I couldn't tell you. I mean, this was several years ago. Maybe I had imposter syndrome for a month or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I couldn't tell you. Whatever.
Okay.
But just one day, the light bulb went off, right? And I was like, oh my God. Shut up, internal brain, internal Kevin thoughts, and move on. And I fast forward 2 days later, and I wasn't having those thoughts anymore. But I just had to tell myself to shut up.
Yeah, just reframing your train of thought. Yeah, that's interesting. For me, the way I found to mitigate it is to just show your value to people, and not stick your head out and be like, hey, I'm worth this.
Yep.
Particularly if you equate yourself to dollar signs for a business, and people can see that, then they're going to respect you a lot more, and that imposter syndrome is going to start to go away, because ultimately it's a respect thing.
Yep.
You're worried, you're afraid that you're going to go into work and not get the respect that you feel you deserve internally. So that's what I do is I'm we just did it today. I'm you're telling me I'm going to do some work on something, and I'm did they pay for that? Because I'm equating, if you don't see it, I need to make sure you understand that what I'm doing does have a dollar sign value. Yep. And for business owners, tell me your take, you're the owner, it hits way harder when you're oh yeah, there's money involved with this. So if you just go and do things and get your tasks done, I think you're still going to have the imposter syndrome. At least that's my experience. But when you start to equate it to actual value, you're going to start to realize I'm worth something here. Yep. Your boss is going to realize you're worth something here. There's going to be a mutual respect. And then your coworkers are going to be if the boss respects this guy and I respect my boss, then I should in turn respect this person.
Yep.
And if they see the value too, it's a little harder in the workplace because people are shy to express what they're worth dollar-wise to their coworkers. But that's how I think is a really great way to help mitigate it, because it can come back. I mean, you said your second employee. What about when you hired your third? Did you start to feel that?
Nope.
Your fourth?
Nope.
No? Nope. It was just gone?
Nope, it was gone.
What about when you got a big job?
I think it was on the cusp of coming back, but then I can actually tell you what I was thinking through all the big jobs that I had been on in the past, and thinking through the positives and negatives of those jobs and how I could equate my experience to how I can bring my experience to those jobs. And maybe it was there for a blink of an eye and I didn't realize it, but I just thought through what I can bring to the table and what I know I'm capable of doing, what our team is capable of doing, and we just moved forward. I refuse to let...
You just power through it.
I do. I refuse to have those thoughts consume me. And even if I have a negative thought-filled day, traditionally by the end of the night, I'm just all right, I'm over this, moving on. And, if you can't control it, why worry about it? You and I had that conversation just the other day. You were blown away that I was not worried.
Oh, yeah, I was pissed off. Is a better word for it.
So the context is you were talking about how AI is.
That's our argument topic. It's actually on the next episode.
Okay.
Go ahead, tell him.
Yeah, how I'm not worried about AI taking over our industry.
Because it's coming. All right.
I'm not worried about it.
All right, let's move on. I'm getting mad all over again.
Can't wait.
Do you ever call it 2 or 2:30?
2. Give me one more.
That's a long one, though. You only have 4 minutes for this.
You close the deal?
No, long game
advertising.
advertising.
Oh, no, that's next.
Long game advertising?
Oh, you know what? You know what I want to know? I want to know, why did you return your Quest headset?
Sucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it sucks. That's a touchy subject, too. The MetaQuest 3 was super exciting when I first got it because of the possibilities. Mm-hmm. But the actualities are, it's not that useful. Not right now. So I was looking at productivity, it's a computer on your head. You can do things from anywhere. And it's incredibly limited on the actual functionalities of it. So one of my biggest things I wanted to do with it was work from home and have a 3-monitor setup within the virtual reality headset. And you can have a 3-monitor setup. I can access to the computer, but I can't use a keyboard or mouse. If you connect the keyboard or mouse to the headset, it only works through the headset's UI, not through the connection of the computer.
Okay.
So if I was going to use that 3-monitor setup, I'd still have to be at the computer. Okay. An extra monitor is great, but you really don't need a 3rd monitor.
Correct.
A wider monitor is great. The fact that I could take my monitor and make it way wider was awesome. But did it improve productivity like I expected it to? No. In fact, there's a lot more issues with setup and configuration and maintaining the stability of it all, because if I were to get a WhatsApp call or a text, it canceled out everything.
Oh my God!
I had to reconnect to my computer.
So you found yourself behind inadvertently to then have to play catch up because the system wasn't.
I found myself behind and then taking it off and catching right back up. And I was just like, this is pointless. So then I was really hopeful and ambitious. I'm like, okay, let's just keep trying. Maybe I can work these bugs out and that sort of deal. But then it got to a point where one day I came to the studio to work and I didn't bring it. So I do my work, I get everything done really quickly, no headaches. I'm like, okay, let me bring it back the next. Let me definitely bring it the next day. I bring it, got a headache, was frustrated. Was like, I can't get this done how I want to get it done. That was the precipice of like leaving it home.
Yep.
Start leaving it home. I use it at home, watch a YouTube video, watch a movie. Then I stopped using it at home. And then it was in a box. And when it was in a box for 5 days in a row, am I still within the return period for this? Send it back. Like, I'll take my money back. Because it's a great idea. But really, truly, it's for gaming right now. Like, if you want to game and be in a different world, that's cool. You're not going to get anything done that way. I'm all about productivity. So now we're talking about all I can do is the complete opposite of being productive. I don't get paid to play video games. So what am I doing? Send that thing back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not there. And I would imagine the Apple one's the same exact
thing. Oh, 100%. That's what I mean. Everything that I've watched on it, I've watched 3-4-ish videos on it. But I did say, this version I have no interest in buying. None. And this, I can't say for that exact reason what you just said is why. I just knew that version 1 was going to have some issues, some quirks, some kinks. I hated though. When I saw on like halfway through video 1 that I was watching on YouTube that the keyboard was not operational with the Apple one.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't getting it already. That sealed the deal. The second the keyboard was not, I was out immediately.
There's way too many friction points.
Immediately, I was out on that. All the other little quirks here and there, maybe I could see past. Maybe even then, I don't know if I could. But
you can't.
But there's a potential for it, right?
No, it's not.
The keyboard I was out immediately. It was like, nope. Next version when that becomes a thing, because I mean, the reason I am so productive at my computer is because of the keyboard.
Yeah.
I type so well. I have all the shortcuts. I cruise.
Oh, I mean, even in the headset, the quality of looking at your keyboard is not that great.
Yep.
So an M and an N look the same.
Oh my God. That would drive me nuts.
So it gets down to the point of how fluid are you at typing? Like, can you type with your eyes closed? Can you just type and not look and get everything perfectly? I can't. I have a weird typing sort of deal. And it's just bad. It's just bad. I don't think you can look past it. I think I was so excited before.
Yep.
But I think there's way too many issues. Just too. It's not.
Shoot, they might be 2 versions away before I move forward with it.
Might be 10 years away. I think the most exciting part of it was the augmented reality. What I'd be more excited for now is the Meta sunglasses or eyeglasses.
Yep.
Because you can look at things It's like something called multimodal, which everybody's really excited about. It hasn't really come to fruition totally yet. The idea is that keyword idea, that you could put these glasses on, your car could have an issue, you could look at it and say, hey, look at this part of my car and tell me how to fix this. And then it would explain to you exactly how to do it. That is somewhat inside of the Meta headset. But it's
a fraction.
Even that's not there. It just doesn't do it for you.
Yeah.
So if you have one, return it. If you're thinking about getting one, don't. Definitely don't get the Apple one.
Just wait.
You're probably 5 models away.
Yeah, we'll see.
This Quest is the
third,
4th or 5th, because it was Oculus before.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Terrible. Terrible. Right. Thanks for ruining this podcast.
Yeah, no problem. Good way to end. All right. Yeah. See you on the next one.
See ya.